Welcome back to Career Power Hyderabad, powered by Data 247. Students, today we'll see the important MCQs, but before going into the MCQs, please subscribe our YouTube channel. Also join our Telegram channel and do download our Career Power Hyderabad app. We'll provide the link in the description. So we are providing coaching for Bank, SSC, RRB. So do download the app. So let's go into the first MCQ for today. So which of the following bank has become the second most valued listed public sector bank? So which of the following bank has become the second most valued listed public sector bank? So the answer is Indian Overseas Bank. So Indian Overseas Bank has become the second most valued listed public sector bank with a market capitalization of rupees over 50,000 crores. So the total market capitalization of the Indian Overseas Bank has crossed the 50,000 crores. So what is market capitalization, or simply the market cap? So market capitalization or market cap is nothing but the market value of publicly traded companies' outstanding shares. The market value of publicly traded companies' outstanding shares. It is simply nothing but the price per share into shares outstanding. The price per share into shares outstanding. Very simple. So the Indian Overseas Bank. So take example, the Indian Overseas Bank share is at rupees 100. Indian Overseas Bank share is at rupees 100. Suppose people have purchased these shares, and total there are some 50 people who have purchased these shares. So 100 rupees into 50. 100 rupees into 50. So 5,000 rupees is the value of that company. 5,000 rupees is the value of this company. So that is simply the market capitalization. Suppose 50,000 people have purchased these shares, huge amount. Suppose 1 lakh people have purchased these shares, huge amount. So total number of outstanding shares with the public into the price per share, 100 rupees, 200, 300, anything may be the price of the share. So this is the market capitalization. So next, if you see, so the total market capitalization of IOB, Indian Overseas Bank, is 51,887 crores. So it replaced the Punjab National Bank and the Bank of Baroda. Earlier, Punjab National Bank was placed at second, BOB at third, but now IOB is at second, and first place, you know, it is always SBI. So SBI is at first place, second is IOB, third is Punjab, and fourth is Bank of Baroda. So last month only, the market price of IOB has increased by 57%, where there is a decline of 4% in PNB and 5% increase in BOB. So IOB shares are increasing day by day. So if you wish to invest, you can invest in this IOB bank. So next, the bank is mainly focusing to come out of the prompt corrective action framework imposed by RBI. So RBI has imposed a prompt corrective action on the bank. So what is prompt corrective action? Very simple. So if the bank is performing very poor, to control the bank operations, RBI generally imposes the prompt corrective action. So thereby the bank will improve, it will focus on the recovery of loans, it will focus on deposits, it will focus on increasing its capital, increasing its asset, increasing its liabilities, that means increasing deposits. So bank will try to function in a proper manner. So IOB headquarters is in Chennai, and IOB is formed in 1937. So next question. So which bank has inked a multi-year deal with Amazon Web Services for providing digital banking services? So which bank has inked a multi-year deal with Amazon Web Services for providing digital banking services? The answer is Axis Bank. So Axis Bank and Amazon Web Services, AWS, are now in a deal to improve their digital banking services. So the main aim of this Amazon Web Services will be to create a new digital financial services to the Axis Bank, and also it will improve the customer experiences. It will increase the online accounts. It will make online accounts to be opened in 6 minutes, and instant digital payments. All these online services will be provided by the Amazon Web Services. So because of these activities, the customer satisfaction will increase by 35%, and it will reduce the cost of bank operations by 24%. So already Axis Bank has deployed nearly 25 applications on AWS. So it is using AWS for its 25 applications like Buy Now Pay Later, bank loan management system, account aggregated, video know your customer, WhatsApp banking. So for all these different activities, already Axis Bank is using the Amazon Web Services. So Axis Bank headquarters is in Mumbai. Axis Bank is formed in 1993. So if you see about this Axis Bank and AWS, So already the 15% of bank applications are used on the Amazon cloud, and now bank is aiming to increase this to 70%. So Axis Bank wants to use Amazon Web Services for almost all its services. So also remember, Amazon is formed in 1994 and Amazon headquarters in Seattle, Washington State. It's a state, not Washington DC, it's Washington State, USA. The next question, government has extended the superannuation age of the IOP bound LIC chairman up to, so the LIC chairman retirement age is extended to which year? Very simple. So government has extended the superannuation age, superannuation means retirement. So retirement age of the IPO bond. So LIC is going for IPO, initial public offering, it is going into the stock market. So LIC chairman retirement age is extended to, the answer is 62 years. So the LIC present chairman M.R. Kumar, his post is extended to 62 years, his term. So to make this extension, they need to make changes in the Life Insurance Corporation of India Act, staff regulations 1960. So they made the changes. Now it is called the Life Insurance Corporation of India Staff Amendment Rules 2021. So according to this new notification released by the central government, so the government appoints chairman for a term extending beyond 60 years, or if the existing chairman is extended, extends the term of office to a period beyond 60 years, he shall superannuate till such terms are completed or till he attains the age of 62 years. Very simple. This statement may be looking confused, but very simple. If a chairman is appointed above 60 years, he will continue till the term ends, or if he attains 62 years. If the existing chairman term is extended, say like M.R. Kumar, his existing chairman term is extended, so he will continue till the term ends, or if he gets 62 years. Very simple. So last month only, government has given a 9-month extension to M.R. Kumar, the chairman of LIC, till March 2022. So mainly because LIC is going into initial public offering by the end of this year, by the end of 2021, 2022, that means by March, LIC will go into public, it will issue IPOs, initial public offering. So generally, if you see the retirement age of the majority PSUs, it will be 60 years, except SBI. SBI is an exemption, few exemptions where their retirement age differs. So generally for all PSUs, it is 60 years. So now coming to this IPO. So the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, she announced in the budget that IPO will be issued for LIC. Generally, in this year itself, 2021-22, which is a part of the 1.75 lakh crore disinvestment target. Very simple. Disinvestment means government will sell the government properties, government PSUs. So government will sell shares in the government PSUs. It will sell part of the government PSUs. So also remember, LIC formed in 1956. LIC headquarters in Mumbai. The next question, which of the following state UT has entered the 149-year-old Darbar Move tradition? So very, very important question. So which of the following state UT has entered the 149-year-old Darbar Move tradition? So the answer is Jammu and Kashmir. The answer is Jammu and Kashmir. So Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha, so he formally put an end to this 149-year-old tradition. So which is the shifting capitals between summer capital Srinagar and winter capital Jammu. So this a notice was released by the administration of Jammu and Kashmir cancelling the residential accommodation of the Darbar Move employees both in Jammu and Srinagar, so that the employees will remain stationed in either Jammu or Srinagar. So almost nearly 8,000 to 9,000 employees who work in the secretariats, they move between these Jammu and Srinagar every year twice. So recently the Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha's administration, they moved to e-office. So that is why there is no need of moving between these two cities. So this will save government nearly 200 crores per year. So saving of 200 crores, which will help to use this money in the welfare of deprived classes. So LG says this 200 crore will definitely be used for the welfare of deprived sections. So if you go into the history, the Dogra king Maharaja Gulab Singh. So this Dogra kingdom was formed during the British times. So this Dogra king Maharaja Gulab Singh, he started this tradition in 1872. So Srinagar was served as the summer capital and Jammu was served as the winter capital. So this tradition even after independence was continued by the political parties of Jammu and Kashmir. So mainly to create interaction between the linguistic and cultural groups of both Kashmir and Jammu region. So Kashmir and Jammu region has diverse languages, diverse cultures. In order to make a bridge between them, in order to make interaction between them, this Darbar move was implemented even after independence. Okay. So next question, who among the following has been appointed as the new Lokayukta in Tripura? So who among the following has been appointed as the new Lokayukta of Tripura? Answer is Kalyan Narayan Bhattacharjee. So Kalyan Narayan Bhattacharjee is the new Lokayukta in Tripura. So he is an advocate. So he is appointed as the Lokayukta. He will be for 3 years. His term will be 3 years, and he is the first lawyer to be, first advocate to be appointed to this particular position, Lokayukta. So Lokayukta Act was in Tripura since 2008, but the first Lokayukta was appointed in 2012. So Bhattacharjee is the third Lokayukta and the first who is a lawyer to hold this post of Lokayukta. The first Lokayukta of Tripura is Pradeep Kumar Sarkar. He is the first Lokayukta, and the now Lokayukta is the third Lokayukta. So the Chief Minister of Tripura also remember these points, Bilap Kumar Dev, and Governor of Tripura Satyadev Narayan Arya. So what is this Lokayukta and what is all this about? So Lokpal and Lokayukta Act 2013, so it provides for the Lokpal for union and Lokayukta for states. So in 2013, the central government has brought this act called the Lokpal and Lokayukta Act 2013, where Lokpal is appointed for union and Lokayukta is appointed for states. So these bodies are statutory bodies. So these bodies, they perform functions like the ombudsman. So ombudsman means the person who investigates into cases, investigates into allegations. So these bodies, they will mainly inquire into allegations of corruption against public functionaries. So mainly they will investigate the cases of corruption. So this particular Lokpal and Lokayukta bill was introduced only because of the India Against Corruption movement, which was led by Anna Hazare. So during the UPA government, during the Congress government, so Anna Hazare has led the India Against Corruption movement. As a result of this movement, so the Congress government has introduced the Lokpal and Lokayukta bill in the Houses of Parliament. So this came into force in 2014. And if you see the history, Maharashtra is the first state to have Lokayukta earlier in 1971. But Maharashtra's Lokayukta is called the weakest Lokayukta, and Karnataka's Lokayukta is called the most powerful Lokayukta in the country. So these are all the details, background details, so please remember. So next question, so Karsten Warholm, so he breaks the 29-year-old world record in 400-meter hurdles event. So he hails from which country? So Karsten Warholm, he breaks the 29-year-old world record in 400 meters hurdle event. So he hails from which country? The answer is Norway. So Karsten Warholm from Norway, he breaks the world record. So now, so he is a 25-year-old athlete, mainly from Norway. So during the Bislett Games, which were conducted in Norway itself, so he broke the 400-meter hurdles record. So earlier this record was under the American hurdler Kevin Young. So this record was nearly for 29 years. So Kevin Young, he set the record at 46.78 seconds. So 46.78 seconds. Kevin Young has established this record in the 1992 Olympics, which were conducted in Barcelona, Spain. So in the Barcelona, Spain 1992 Olympics, Kevin Young has set the record at 46.78 seconds. And today, Karsten Warholm, he set the record at 46.70 seconds. 46.70 seconds at the Bislett Games. Okay. So in Bislett Games, Karsten Warholm, he set the record at 46.7 seconds. So these Bislett Games are the annual track and field meeting at the Bislett Stadium conducted in Oslo, Norway, which were established in 1965. So this is about the Bislett Games. So next question, who among the following is appointed as the managing director of the National High Speed Rail Corporation Limited? So who has been appointed as the managing director of the National High Speed Rail Corporation Limited? Answer is Satish Agnihotri. Satish Agnihotri takes charge as the MD of NHSRL and NHSRCL. So this National High Speed Rail Corporation Limited, so which is wholly owned by the Ministry of Railways. So if you see about Satish Agnihotri's background, so he has a 20 years experience in implementation of mega rail infrastructure projects. Earlier he worked as the chairman and managing director of the Rail Vikas Nigam Limited. So during his Rail Vikas Nigam Limited tenure, he completed nearly 700 kilometers of project length, including 300 kilometers of doubling, 880 kilometers of conversion of meter gauge tracks, and 3,000 kilometers of railway electrification, 85 kilometer new line, 6 factories and many other important bridges. So he has a record while working during the chairman and managing director of the Rail Vikas Nigam Limited. Now he is appointed as the managing director of the National High Speed Rail Corporation Limited. So if you see the National High Speed Rail Corporation Limited, which is formed in 2016, the main objective of this corporation is to finance, construct, maintain and manage the high speed rail corridors. So it is a special purpose vehicle with participation from Railways, Government of Gujarat and Maharashtra. So Railways will have 50%, Gujarat and Maharashtra states will have 25% each. So these three bodies, Minister of Railways, Government of India with the Government of Gujarat and Maharashtra states, they formed this special purpose vehicle which is headquartered in New Delhi. So next question. RBI has implemented a penalty of how many lakhs on the Punjab and Sindh Bank for non-compliance with the certain provisions of the cyber security framework in banks. So RBI has imposed a penalty of how many lakhs on the Punjab and Sindh Bank for non-compliance with the certain provisions of directions in the cyber security framework in the banks. So the answer is 25 lakhs. So 25 lakhs was imposed, the penalty was imposed on Punjab and Sindh Bank. So this state-owned bank, the Punjab and Sindh Bank, they reported some cyber security incidents between May 16 and May 20. So when there is investigation happened on this bank, so after the report of forensic analysis, RBI came to a conclusion that they were in non-compliance with the cyber security framework in the banks. So that is why they imposed this penalty and they issued a so-cause notice, and now they need to answer, the bank need to answer, so why a penalty must not be imposed. So this penalty was imposed under the section 47A and section 46 of the Banking Regulation Act of 1949. So also remember, Punjab Sindh Bank headquarters Delhi, Punjab Sindh Bank formed in 1908. So next question, which of the following has been awarded the world's most innovative investment promotion agency 2021? So which of the following has been awarded the world's most innovative investment promotion agency 2021? Answer is Invest India. Answer is Invest India. So Invest India was awarded this award, the Investment Promotion Agency 2021 by OCO Global. OCO Global is a leading authority on foreign investment and it provides a range of economic development services products. So this is formed in 2001. This company OCO Global is formed in 2001 and headquartered in Belfast, Northern Ireland, United Kingdom. So this Invest India was awarded the most innovative investment promotion agency 2021. So this organization was set up in 2009, which is a non-profit organization under the Department of Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade. So main activity of this agency is National Investment Promotion and Facilitation. So this Invest India will mainly focus on sector specific investment targeting. So mainly sector specific and development of partners to enable the sustainable investments in India. So it will focus on sector specific investments and in development of new partners. So it will also partner with the investment promotion agencies and multilateral agencies to achieve its goals. It will also work with several Indian states to build capacity as well as to bring in global practices into the investment targeting, promotion and facilitation area. So these are all the details of Invest India company. The next question, who became the highest run getter in the women's cricket across all formats? Who becomes the highest run getter in women's cricket across all formats? Women cricket across all formats. Answer is Mithali Raj. So Mithali Raj of India, Indian women cricket team captain. So she achieved this feat. She achieved total 10,337 runs and she suppressed the Charlotte Edwards record, who is having nearly 10,273 runs. So Mithali Raj, the Indian women's team captain, she achieved this feat how many runs? 10,337 runs and being the highest run getter in the women's cricket across all formats. Earlier this record was held by the England cricketer and England captain, team captain Charlotte Edwards. Only these two women are having runs more than 10,000 in the entire women total runs list. So if you see, the third position is held by Susie Bates of New Zealand with 7,849 runs, Stephanie Taylor with 7,832 runs and Meg Lanning with 7,024 runs. So Mithali achieved this feat in the final ODI against England, which was where India was chasing 220 for a win, absolute win. And in 2020, Mithali Raj was named the ICC ODI Team of the Decade, which was a honor for her consistency in the sport. If you also see, Mithali Raj was the most capped player and having a record of playing 11 tests, 217 ODIs, 89 T20 internationals. And Mithali Raj is the only Indian, only international player after Sachin Tendulkar to complete 22 years in the ODI cricket. So Mithali Raj is the second international cricketer after Sachin Tendulkar to complete 22 years in the ODI cricket. So please remember all these points. Anything may be your question. So please remember. So next question. Who won the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring, the 9th race of the 2021 Formula 1 World Championship season? So who won the Austrian Grand Prix? You know the answer. He already won the French Grand Prix. He already won the Styrian Grand Prix. So you know the answer. So who won the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring, which is the 9th race of the overall 2021 Formula 1 World Championships? Answer is Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen of Netherlands, who belongs to the Red Bull racing team, he won the 2021 Austrian Grand Prix. Earlier he won the Styrian Grand Prix. Second position was held by Valtteri Bottas, third by Lando Norris, and fourth by Lewis Hamilton. So this is the fifth win for Verstappen. So Austrian Grand Prix is an international automobile federation sanctioned motor racing game which was held first in 1964 in the Zeltweg town, and later on it went to Spielberg city. So this racing track is famously called the Red Bull Ring. So Max Verstappen, it is his fifth win. So please remember this person, very important, because he had consecutive 5 wins. So next question, who is the author of the book titled Lady Doctors, the Untold Stories of India's First Women in Medicine? So name the author of the book titled Lady Doctors, the Untold Stories of India's First Women in Medicine. The answer is Kavita Rao. The answer is Kavita Rao. So this book recognizes the stories of India's first women doctors who were ignored by the history. This book is mainly about the story of Rukmabai Raut. Rukmabai Raut is an Indian physician and a feminist. She is best known for being one of the first practicing women doctors in the British India, as well as her involvement in the landmark legal case of her marriage as a child bride between 1884 and 1885. She challenged her child marriage in the court and she took divorce. So it was a sensation during those times, during the British India, where Indian customs were very orthodox. So her story is nothing but The Lady's Daughters, the Untold Stories of India's First Women in Medicine, written by Kavita Rao. It's the story of Rukmabai Rao. So next question. Name the third woman of Indian origin to go into space after Kalpana Chawla and Sunita Williams. So name the third woman of Indian origin to go into space after Kalpana Chawla and Sunita Williams. Answer is Sirisha Bandla. Sirisha Bandla is the third Indian woman to go into the space. So Indian origin woman Sirisha Bandla, she will travel to space by VSS Unity of the Virgin Galactic. So Virgin Galactic is a private space company. So they are launching their VSS Unity. So in this entire spacecraft, so our Indian origin woman Sirisha Bandla is also going with the crew. So this flight is scheduled on July 11th from New Mexico State in USA. Sirisha, who was born in India but grew up in Texas, will be the second Indian born woman. She was born in India but grew up in Texas. Who will be the second Indian woman to go after Kalpana Chawla. Even Kalpana Chawla was born in India but grew up in United States, and she was also the woman to go into space. So, and she is also the 4th Indian to fly into space. So among Indians, she is the 4th Indian. So Rakesh Kumar, Sunita Williams, Kalpana Chawla, Sirisha Bandla. So 4 Indians were who went into space. She will be the 4th if she enters into the space. So next, Sirisha Bandla. So her profession, she is the Vice President of the Government Affairs in the Virgin Galactic. So she will travel along with her boss, Richard Branson. Richard Branson is the owner of this company. He is also a billionaire. So he, along with 4 other members, so Richard Branson, 4 other members, Sirisha Bandla. So this entire crew will go into the space. It's a 6-member crew. So Sirisha Bandla will take care of the researcher experience of the Unity 22 mission. So this mission is called Unity 22 mission. So she will take care of the researcher experience. And if you see the background of her, she belongs to the Guntur district in Andhra Pradesh state. So she moved to US at the age of 4 along with her family. So her entire family shifted to US when she is at the age of These are all the details about her. If you see the educational details, she is graduated from the Aeronautics and Astronautics School of the Purdue University, and also a master's degree in business management, business administration from the Georgetown University. So these are all the details about Shirisha Bandla. If you see the details about Richard Branson, so Richard Branson will be the first billionaire, tech billionaire to go into space. So earlier Jeff Bezos also announced that he will go into space, the Amazon's founder, with his own space venture company called Blue Origin. But Richard Branson, he is now going, the first billionaire, tech billionaire to go into space. So if you see about Virgin Galactic, so this is a British American space flight company mainly operated in USA. It is founded by Richard Branson in 2004 and headquartered in Mojave, California. So main aim of this company is to develop commercial spacecraft and aim to provide space flights to space tourists. So to send tourists into space, this particular company is formed. Okay, so these are all the details. Please by heart. The next question: Indian Army Chief M.M. Narwani to inaugurate the War Memorial for Indian soldiers in which country? So Indian Army Chief, the Chief of Armed Staff, M.M. Narwani is going to inaugurate a War Memorial for Indian soldiers in which country? Answer is Italy. So if you go into the background, Indian Army Chief is going to inaugurate the War Memorial for Indian soldiers in Italy. So he is going on an official visit to United Kingdom and Italy. So mainly to meet the counterparts, mainly to meet the chiefs of UK and Italy. So in this meeting, so in this visit, he will inaugurate the Indian Army Memorial in the famous town of Cassino, Italy. So this town is famous for the Battle of Monte Cassino. So during the World War II, Battle of Monte Cassino was happened. So in this Battle of Monte Cassino, nearly 5,000 Indian soldiers they laid their lives fighting to save Italy from fascist forces. So nearly 50,000 Indians were enlisted for this Italy's liberation war, and in this war nearly 5,000 people they lost their lives between 1943 and 1945. So in order to honor these victims, in order to honor these soldiers, a Indian War Memorial is established by Italy, and Indian Army Chief M.M. Narwani is going to inaugurate it. Okay. So if you also remember, UK capital London, UK currency pound sterling, Italy capital Rome, Italy currency euro, and India has good relations with UK and Italy, both UK and Italy. So we have relations and we have partnership in defense, healthcare, aerospace, education, clean energy, renewable energy, information communication technology, and many others. So we have MOUs, we have agreements between both the countries, UK and Italy. So this is all the important MCQs today. So if you like our content, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. This PDF is available in our Telegram channel. So do download the PDF in the Telegram channel. So download our Career Power Hyderabad app, because we are launching Bank SSC RRB courses. So do download the Career Power app. So we'll meet in the next class. Thank you one and all.